Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss ideal dependent sources and the important role they play in circuit analysis. Dependent sources are used to model real-world electronic devices such as transistors. They are also used to model real-world systems such as amplifiers. During circuit analysis, dependent sources need to be handled carefully and often require special methods. We will discuss both real-world and circuit analysis aspects of dependent sources in this video. In linear circuit analysis, there are only 9 fundamental ideal circuit elements. Each of these 9 elements has 2 terminals only. These 9 elements can be divided into 2 types, passive and active elements. Passive elements model physical devices that cannot generate electrical energy. Resistor, capacitor, and inductor are passive circuit elements. Active elements model physical devices that can generate electrical energy. The 2 ideal independent sources and the 4 ideal dependent sources are all active elements. 4 plus 2 plus 3 equals 9 circuit elements, and their interconnections give rise to different circuits encountered in circuit analysis. In this video, we are focusing on the 4 dependent sources. The development of dependent sources in circuit theory is generally not credited to any single scientist. Broadly, the concept has its origins in mathematics, where the concepts of dependent and independent variables was developed in the 17th and 18th centuries. In electronics, the concept of dependent sources arose in the 20th century as a natural mathematical necessity in order to model the circuit behavior of active and semiconductor devices. In fact, we can narrow down to the 1960s when use of dependent sources became common in circuit theory. Also, the models for the ideal circuit elements were established in the 1960s. If you're interested, you can read more about the historical developments in circuit theory in this article, which you can access in the IEEE Explore database, typically through your university's institutional membership. Dependent sources are also called controlled sources. The circuit symbol for an ideal independent source is a circle. The circuit symbol for an ideal dependent source is a diamond. The plus-minus sign inside the diamond identifies the dependent source as a voltage source and indicates the reference polarity of the element voltage. An arrow inside the diamond identifies the dependent source as a current source and indicates the direction of conventional current through the element. A dependent source establishes a voltage or current whose value depends on the value of a voltage or current elsewhere in the circuit to which the dependent source is connected to. The controlling voltage or current is non-local to the dependent source. This ability of dependent sources to model non-local circuit interactions is quite unique. In ideal independent sources, the established voltage or current is fixed and does not depend on the circuit to which the independent source is connected to. In the three passive circuit elements, the voltage-current relationships are all local. That is, the branch current flowing locally through the circuit element is related to the voltage drop across the same circuit element. Please pause the video now if you wish to consider this in more detail. Let's look at how to categorize a dependent source. A dependent source consists of two parts, the controlling variable and the controlled element. The controlling variable is either a voltage or a current. The controlled part is either a voltage source or a current source. This gives rise to four types of dependent sources that correspond to the four ways of choosing a controlling variable and a controlled element. If the controlling variable is a voltage and the controlled element is a voltage source, we get a voltage-controlled voltage source. The first two letters denote the controlling variable and the last two letters denote the controlled element. If the controlling variable is a current and the controlled element is a voltage source, we get a current-controlled voltage source. Similarly, we can get a voltage-controlled current source and finally a current-controlled current source. Let's look at the multiplying factors and the control variables in more detail. For a current-controlled voltage source, the controlling variable Ix is a branch current, meaning it is the current flowing through some circuit element that is part of the circuit to which the dependent source is connected to. For a current-controlled voltage source, the multiplying factor ρ has units of volts per ampere, that is resistance. For a voltage-controlled voltage source, the controlling variable Vx is a branch voltage, meaning Vx is the potential difference across some circuit element that is part of the circuit to which the dependent source is connected to. The multiplying factor mu is a ratio of two voltages, so it's dimensionless. Similarly, for a current-controlled current source, the multiplying factor beta is a ratio of two currents, so it's dimensionless. For a voltage-controlled current source, the multiplying factor alpha has units of amperes per volt. For the four ideal dependent sources, the controlling variables Ix and Vx are always branch current or branch voltage only. The controlling variable Ix cannot be a mesh current. This is because mesh currents are a circuit theory abstraction only and do not always correspond to measurable physical branch currents. Similarly, the controlling variable Vx cannot be a node voltage. This is because a node voltage depends upon the choice of the ground or the reference node, which is an arbitrary choice in a circuit. Thus, only branch currents and voltages can be used as controlling variables. We call Ix and Vx as non-local variables since they are not local to the dependent source. Finally, the multiplying factors determine whether an ideal dependent source is linear or nonlinear. If the multiplying factors have a fixed constant value, which is usually the case in circuit analysis, then the dependent sources are linear sources, However, if the multiplying factor has a non-linear value, then the dependent source is called a nonlinear source. It must be mentioned that we can use any symbols to denote these multiplying factors. Let's now take a look at how dependent sources are handled in circuit theory. In circuit theory, dependent sources are treated just like any other circuit element. Dependent sources have a branch current flowing through them and a voltage drop across them. Depending upon the type of the dependent source, one of the branch variables, current or voltage, is set by the magnitude of the dependent source, and the other is determined by carrying out circuit analysis. Note that the ideal dependent voltage sources will maintain the prescribed voltage Vs regardless of the current flowing through their terminals. Thus, for the voltage controlled voltage source and the current controlled voltage source, the branch current I could be 0, but their prescribed voltage will still be Vs. Similarly, the ideal dependent current sources will maintain the prescribed current Is regardless of the voltage drop across them. Thus, for the voltage controlled current source and the current controlled current source, the voltage drop V could be 0, but the prescribed current will still be Is. Dependent sources obey passive sign convention and all the circuit theory laws. With passive sign convention, the controlling variables Ix and Vx can be positive or negative. Also, the multiplying factors can be positive or negative and greater than or less than 1. Thus, these four ideal dependent sources can be supplying or absorbing power, and this is absolutely fine. Dependent sources need careful treatment when finding Thevenin equivalent resistance for a circuit containing dependent sources. For instance, we can zero or turn off independent sources. When we zero an independent voltage source, we make its magnitude 0 volt, which is equivalent to replacing it with a short circuit. When we zero an independent current source, we make its magnitude 0 amp, which is equivalent to replacing it with an open circuit. For dependent sources, we cannot zero or turn them off. This is because the controlling variables are non-local to the dependent sources. This slide summarizes the different methods which can be used to find the Thevenin equivalent resistance. The method of deactivating sources works well for circuits with independent sources only, since it reduces the problem of finding R Thevenin equal to finding the equivalent resistance between the terminals of interest. However, this method neglects the possible influence of external circuit on the dependent sources and does not work when the circuit contains dependent sources only. Thus, we have to use a combination of method 2 and 3, that is, deactivate the independent sources only and then apply a test source to find R Thevenin when the circuit has independent and dependent sources. The circuit analysis method of finding the short circuit current between the terminals of interest can capture the non-local interactions for dependent sources when the circuit contains both independent and dependent sources. However, it fails when the circuit has dependent sources only. For this situation, we can use the test source method only, which is capable or which is the only way to capture the non-local interactions for circuits that contain dependent sources only. Please pause the video now if you wish to study this table in more detail. For circuits with dependent sources only, Thevenin is always 0. Thus, a circuit with dependent sources only behaves like a resistance from the point of view of terminals of interest. Depending upon the circuit, the Thevenin equivalent resistance may be positive or negative. While negative resistances do not exist in practice, in circuit theory there is no issue, and we use the negative resistance in circuit equations just like a positive resistance. The two examples shown here are solved in other videos in this channel. The links are provided in the video description below. Here are some examples of how dependent sources are used to model real-world devices. A bipolar junction transistor, or BJT, is modeled using a linear current-controlled current source, where the multiplying factor beta is a constant determined by the device construction and is provided in the device datasheet. A metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor is modeled using a non-linear voltage-controlled current source. Note that a diode is not modeled using dependent sources. Instead, a diode is modeled as a non-linear independent current source. Apart from real-world devices, dependent sources are also used in the modeling of real-world systems. For instance, an amplifier is a system that can amplify a weak input signal. Amplifiers can be constructed in many different ways, for instance using op-amps or BJTs. Irrespective of their internal construction, amplifier systems as a whole can be modeled using a voltage-controlled voltage source as shown in this figure. Circuit simulators such as PSPICE, LTSPICE, NGSPICE, and PYSPICE all provide inbuilt part names to simulate dependent sources. The naming convention of the dependent sources is nearly consistent across the simulators. The letters E, F, G, H are used for the part names. In PYSPICE, two of the letters are not recognized, so we must use the acronym instead to access the part. In case you are wondering why we have two symbols each for the voltage-controlled sources in LTSPICE, they are both symbols for the same component but have different default orientations for the controlling voltages for easier schematic wiring. In this channel, you can find videos which show how to simulate dependent sources using PSPICE, LTSPICE, and PYSPICE. The links are provided in the video description below. In this video, we have looked at three things. Firstly, how dependent sources are defined and categorized. Secondly, how dependent sources are treated in circuit analysis. And thirdly, how dependent sources are related to real-world modeling and simulation aspects. I hope the video is beneficial for your learning. Thank you for watching the video.